Hello, classmates. So this week's discussion is on the balance of freedom to drive and air quality, which is, to start with, a very American notion. Most of Europe has highly connected public transportation networks, and as does Canada, and they're relatively cheap and accessible. Whereas in America, we have a relatively low amount of transportation networks, especially when it comes to trains and affordable transportation. And we have a very high amount of personal use vehicles. Now, in our module, we discussed some recommendations for lowering traffic congestion and improving air quality. Air quality is most highly affected by idling vehicles in traffic congestion, as idling vehicles produce the most amount of ground level ozone, methane, CO2, and particulates. I chose to vote for an increase in funding for public transportation and restrictions on personal use vehicles. And this is something that the activity did not like, because most voters don't like that, especially in America, where single-use vehicles are necessary to get around in most cities. I understand that. I commute from one side of California back multiple times a month for my business, and airfare would not be affordable, primarily due to time, not actually the price, which is about the same. However, I'm not usually stuck in traffic due to planning, unless I'm in LA. Now, American individualism aside, tolls on bridges would help reduce congestion in major cities, as would ride shares and taxis, as well as increasing infrastructure such as trains, high-speed rail, and electric trams. We discussed in chapter 8.2 that idling cars are the leading cause of ground level ozone and air pollution. But if we replace those, at least personal vehicles, with more electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, or vehicles that use alternate forms of fuel, that would also help, along with decreasing the amount of travel that each of us does per day, which also comes to a whole level of economic variables in jobs and such that relate to COVID and the work from home aspect, why are we traveling to begin with, and does that affect congestion? Small business owners, speaking of businesses and jobs, are highly affected by tax banks and tolls on personal use vehicles. Usually, like small flower shops, artists like me, vendors, etc., transport their goods in a personal vehicle that is also their business vehicle. And my suggestion for that would to have a kind of toll break on small business owners, the same way that a taxi or rideshare would have, and to give a kind of business class addition to public transit for those kinds of businesses. There is a possibility that some public transit might be able to accommodate small businesses the same way that they accommodate disabled or pregnant people by creating a specialized, for example, train car or section of the bus, so that there is extra storage or a ramp of some kind. These are just ideas, but I think that that would definitely make an impact. It would also make an impact if public transportation was more equitable. For example, in Japan, there are stroller parking and baby seats on public transit, whereas in America that is not a thing. In fact, if you are a new parent, you know very well that there is not a lot of child-friendly travel in America. Most businesses do not actually have changing tables or parking for babies. If you want to go pee, you have to have your baby on your lap. So if that could change, that would probably make America much greater, and increase and improve public transportation. See you next week.